Welcome to The Authority File, the academic library podcast from Choice. Choice is a publishing division of the ACRL and the publisher of Choice Reviews and CC Advisor. This episode is brought to you by Rakuten OverDrive. I'm Bill Mickey, the host of the podcast and the editorial director at Choice, and for this 4-episode series, I'm joined by Lindsay Levinsohn, an account manager at OverDrive. OverDrive, which was acquired by Japanese internet services company Rakuten in 2015 for $410 million, is a distributor of ebooks and audiobooks to libraries. They've got a huge presence in the U.S. public library market, claiming 93% penetration, and have been quickly expanding into the academic library market as well. Accordingly, they've got a sizable collection of trade books, but they're growing and audiobook content in academic categories too. Not that the academic titles are solely what makes OverDrive's book content appropriate for an academic setting, and that's what Lindsay and I talk about during this series, changing the nature of academic collections. There are a wide variety of factors that are contributing to the evolution of a collection, but in this series, Lindsay and I talk about how and why ebooks are fitting into the contemporary academic library collection, how that's impacting collection development, and digital book lending models. In this second episode, Lindsay and I discuss demonstrating a library's value through its collection, as well as how analytics are informing collection development and their impact on patron privacy. So I want to kind of transition into sort of a more of a library value and talk a little bit about that, as well as maybe some privacy issues a little bit. And I know, libraries are often looking ways to demonstrate value on campus. It's very important for them to kind of demonstrate value up the chain further into the institution. I'm wondering, you mentioned popular titles just now, and, how do those figure into demonstrating a library's value on campus? And is there anything specifically you can share there?
So we have several large colleges and universities, even smaller colleges that have been with OverDrive for years. So we're talking upwards of 7-8 years. So they've been building those collections for years, and they've seen really great success in offering these titles. Sometimes the usage is upwards of 75,000 checkouts a year. They've just built that base with their campus community. I've seen a lot of colleges sort of embrace the idea of adding popular titles as part of their offering. They realize that fiction and self-help and biographies of inspirational figures sort of add value, being able to spend time relaxing with the book or listening on a commute. It can help improve academic performance and mental health. Recreational reading increases reading comprehension, reduces stress, all of that kind of stuff that goes along with recreational reading.
Mm-hmm. And have you seen sort of as students or faculty engage with these kinds of titles that, I don't know if librarians are using the metrics around that engagement to measure or track and see if the increased usage with those titles is leading to more engagement with more academic or research content specifically, if it's sort of greasing the wheels, so to speak, in terms of the library community engaging with the library more often and more deeply as they sort of maybe initially use these popular titles as sort of a gateway content into the library itself.
Sure. Yeah, because, they, like, as you said, gateway, getting involved with the actual popular titles, and then starting to get more into asking faculty if there is a title that they can use in their classes that they can use the digital format for. I have one academic institution that does a campus read each year, and so that's the all-campus or freshman read, which are usually like popular sociological books around the hot button issues. And so this particular college uses the OverDrive collection sort of as an opportunity to offer campus read as a digital option. Mm-hmm. So we can get book club permissions from publishers to get simultaneous use for a set period of time. So library staff can then point students to the digital media collection just as another option to read or listen to that required title. And so we're sort of meeting students where they're at on their devices.
Okay. You mentioned book club permissions. Can you describe that? What does that entail?
So basically, that would be a title that is an unlimited simultaneous use for a set number of period of time. So we call it book club. but it would be then unlimited checkout. So let's say it is a college with 500 freshmen. So that would be, instead of purchasing 500 copies, you're able to get that simultaneous use for that number of months for the program.
Oh, okay. Kind of segueing from that, I mean, I imagine there's a ton of analytics around ebook and audiobook use. What kinds of metrics does OverDrive track, and how do you, and what do you provide back to the library, and what are they most interested in seeing in terms of how this content is being used?
So yeah, one of the best things I think about OverDrive is our reporting that we offer. So the administrators get access to our marketplace, and they have access to the real-time dashboards and reporting. Of course, checkout is the most popular report. They want to see checkouts by format, by month, by title, by subject, all that great data. And then they can look at holds, what titles are on hold, unique user activity, site traffic, titles that have been recommended. So the reports help them to guide purchasing decisions and then deliver any data analytics they need to stakeholders.
Are there any sort of unique ways you're seeing libraries use the data, maybe in a way that you weren't initially thinking they would, or?
I think a lot of them use the data, particularly around user activity, seeing maybe what day of the month or the year is more active than others, and user traffic to see where people are getting access to actually discovering the content. I think is an important report for them. Of course, circulation to see what subjects are more popular than others, what should we be buying, and format. I mean, some people are really surprised to find out that audiobook circulation outpaces ebook circulation, and so they sort of know where to put the dollars when they're purchasing.
Excellent. I'm wondering, consumers are kind of waking up to the ways in which companies are tracking every aspect of their lives. I mean, maybe younger generations not so much as older generations, but they're being tracked online and off, and privacy is obviously a core value librarians hold, and it's written into Article 7 of ALA's Library Bill of Rights, after all. And I'm wondering how OverDrive addresses this with librarians who are concerned about that tracking capability and patron privacy in general.
Sure. So we, of course, definitely respect patron privacy, and users can use most of the services without providing any personal information at all. They would just need the valid student ID or card number to use the services. And so part of their interaction is that they may willingly submit personal information, such as an email address, to place a hold or make a recommendation. So if a user chooses to create that OverDrive account, they will be required to submit the personal information. But in our reporting that administrators have access to, they're not able to see actual user data. That data is hidden. So we're protecting the circulation data and patron privacy.
Okay. Are you getting questions like that from librarians as they're looking at your service? There's a lot of conversation among academic librarians in terms of trying to be cognizant of, as they're looking at picking up a particular vendor service, making sure that they ask questions around the data that's collected by the vendor. Do you find that librarians are kind of on top of that with you guys, or not so much?
Not so much. I would say I don't ever really get questions around patron privacy.
Right.
Sometimes I do have to, review documents from the university, and we have to sign patron privacy, but I really don't get too many questions about it. I have had a couple libraries that actually sometimes want to see the data. So I don't really get much question on that.
Okay. Great. So I know OverDrive provides there's an app and mobile in general, whether it's smartphones or the tablet, laptops even, but in general is playing a huge part in terms of patron access to the library and the library services. I'm wondering if you and OverDrive have any particular insight into how the mobile platforms are changing access and services among academic libraries.
Yeah, I think that mobile access provides a really incredible opportunity for academic institutions to meet
Yeah.
students and faculty where they're at. I mean, everybody is on their device. You walk around campus, even out in the public, everybody is on their phone. So it gives the opportunity to reach a different user base, maybe than typically come into the library. So they discover the fact that the campus has an OverDrive collection. They are able to get it on their device quickly, and students can have multiple books checked out at a time. So they can have latest literary fiction, a study guide, web development manual all on their device, and the process is much easier, quicker to gain access to those titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned earlier the sort of surprising popularity of audiobooks, and I imagine mobile is a big driver of that.
Yeah, mobile is a big driver of it because it's pretty easy then to obviously listen on the go. Car, headphones, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You just heard from OverDrive's Lindsay Levinsohn. This concludes the second of our 4-part series on the changing nature of the academic library collection. This episode was brought to you by Rakuten OverDrive. Be sure to join us for the next episode where we'll talk about the publisher's perspective on the ebook market. Find all of the episodes of The Authority File on your favorite podcast app or on our website, choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship drop-down. On choice360.org, you'll also find information on Choice's entire product platform, including Choice Reviews, CC Advisor, Choice Webinars, resources for college libraries, our white papers, and a whole lot more. A great way to keep up with the Authority File is to join the Choice Authority File Facebook group, which you can access via the Choice Reviews Facebook page. As a member of the group, you can give us feedback, suggest podcast participants, chat with other listeners, and submit new topic ideas. Sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced by Choice's digital media specialist, Mark Dirks. Post-production duties for this episode were handled by Choice's editorial intern, Sabrina Koffer. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.